There are things you think you'll never forgive, until the silence around them grows too loud. For me, it started with a name. Not a scream, not a breakup text, not a lipstick stain on his hoodie. Just a name. Spoken across a grocery aisle by a woman I hadn't seen in 2 years. A woman who used to be part of his past. A woman holding a baby. She cooed it with this dreamy little smile as she pulled a can of formula off the shelf. "Come on, sweet girl. Let's go, Evelyn." My heart stopped. Because Evelyn was supposed to be my daughter's name. My daughter, who didn't exist yet. The name I picked out with Daniel. The name he said was perfect. The one he said reminded him of me. So how did she have it? I stood there frozen, fingers gripping the cart handle so tight the plastic dug into my skin. I watched as his ex, Talia, pushed her cart past mine like I wasn't even there. Baby seat clipped in, soft pink blanket, white onesie with embroidered daisies. Evelyn. I didn't ask. I didn't confront. I didn't breathe. I just left my groceries in the middle of the aisle and walked straight to my car. It wasn't always like this. I used to feel safe with Daniel. Before all the cracks. Before the slow erosion that doesn't show up in texts or photos. Before he turned me into the woman who kept receipts in a folder named Not Crazy, just in case. We met at a friend's rooftop mixer during lockdown's soft re-entry phase. I was one of the masked girls holding a plastic wine glass and awkwardly waving at people from 6 feet away. He had this stupid dad joke printed on his t-shirt, quarantined and thriving, and somehow that was charming back then. Daniel worked in digital marketing. I was 2 years into nursing. We clicked over our shared hatred of virtual happy hours. He told me my voice reminded him of old vinyl records. Warm, cracked, real. I let him kiss me 2 weeks later. That was before I found out about Talia, or rather, before I knew she was still in his life. When Daniel first mentioned his ex, he played it off casually. "We ended ages ago. Just teenage nonsense." "She was a college girlfriend," he said. "Nothing serious. She moved away. He moved on." What he didn't tell me was that they were together 6 years. That she had lived with him. That they'd broken up 3 months before I met him. Not a year, like he said. I found out by accident. Scrolling through his tagged photos one lazy Sunday morning while he was in the shower. A selfie of them at Yosemite. Dated March. It was now June. I remember that picture. Her legs over his lap, both of them laughing with wind-tossed hair and matching Patagonia jackets. The caption, 6 years, 1,000 arguments, and I'd still pick you every time. The comments weren't angry. Just unfinished. Like no one expected them to be over. When I asked him, Daniel laughed. Said it was an old post she forgot to delete. Said I was reading too much into it. She was dramatic. Always loved performative captions, he said. I believed him. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I just wanted to. Because by then, I loved him. Fast forward to us moving in together. Fall of the next year. We signed a lease on a 2-bedroom in the Koreatown area of LA. Small balcony, gray laminate floors, dusty rose accent wall in the hallway. He let me paint that wall. I thought that meant something. Daniel proposed on our 3rd anniversary. Rooftop of our favorite Thai place. String lights, handwritten note, kneeling like it was still the 1950s. The ring wasn't huge, but it sparkled in the city light like a secret he'd finally told the truth about. And I said yes. Of course I said yes. Even though he flinched when I mentioned setting boundaries with exes. Even though he rolled his eyes every time I brought up how Talia still viewed his Instagram stories. Even though he still had that Patagonia jacket, tucked in the back of his closet like a relic. He said I was too sensitive. Too online. Too suspicious. So I made a promise to myself. Let it go. Start clean. We talked baby names one night during a blackout, candlelight flickering across his jawline as he ran fingers down my spine. I said I always loved the name Evelyn. He smiled, said it was elegant, said he could picture her with my eyes. We wrote it on the whiteboard in the kitchen. I never erased it. And now, 2 years later, Talia's baby had my baby's name. And Daniel was still acting like he didn't know how that could have possibly happened. "Oh wow, weird coincidence," he said, when I brought it up later that night. I was shaking. I wasn't screaming, I never screamed, but my voice cracked. "Daniel, we picked that name. That was our name." He blinked. "Names aren't copyrighted, babe." I stared at him. "Did you tell her?" I asked. "Did you talk to her?" He rubbed his eyes. "I haven't seen Talia in forever. Why would I?" "When was the last time you messaged her?" His silence lasted too long. "Daniel," I repeated, heart pounding so loud I thought he might hear it in my teeth. "Are you lying to me?" He got defensive, snapped that he didn't owe me timestamps on every meaningless DM from the past. That's when I knew, because if it had been nothing, he would have just shown me. Instead, he deflected, spun it back on me. "You've been waiting for something to blow up, haven't you? You never trust me." He stormed out that night, said he needed air, left me alone in the apartment with a whiteboard that still said Evelyn in my handwriting. I called my sister. She picked up on the second ring. "Tell me I'm not crazy," I whispered. She didn't. Instead, she said, "I never liked him," which is sister code for, "I knew something was off but didn't want to hurt you." She came over with wine and Reese's and that old photo album from our childhood. Pictures of us in matching raincoats, eating waffles at our grandma's house. She said, "You always wanted a daughter named Evelyn. You said it when we were 8. She was right. I did. Daniel came home around 1 a.m., smelled like beer, didn't speak, just walked past me, dropped his keys and took a shower. I stayed on the couch. When he came back, he mumbled, "This is exhausting." I said, "So go rest at her place." He didn't flinch, didn't even deny it. Just muttered, "You're blowing this so far out of proportion." Then he turned off the hallway light and left me in the dark. The next morning I checked his iPad. He'd forgotten to log out. There it was. A thread with her name. Dated months ago. Maybe longer. "Talia, I still can't believe you're getting married. Does she know you used to talk about naming our kid Evelyn?" Daniel. "She likes the name. I didn't tell her it came from you." Talia. "Kinda full circle, huh?" Daniel. "Yeah. Maybe it was always meant to be her name." I stopped reading. I screen recorded the whole thing. Sent it to myself. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just looked around at the apartment I thought we'd raise a family in. The shelf of baby books I bought on a whim. The calendar where I doodled little hearts on our wedding planning dates. Then I opened notes. Typed 3 words. "I'm leaving him." I didn't leave that day. I wanted to. I stared at the door for hours. My car keys were on the counter. I had a half-packed overnight bag from a friend's bachelorette trip still sitting in the hallway closet. I even Googled short-term rentals in Glendale, just to see what was out there. But I didn't leave. Because I wanted him to say something first. An apology. A confession. A sign. Instead, Daniel woke up at noon, groaned about a hangover, and asked me if we had any Advil. I said nothing. He didn't even notice the iPad was gone from the table. The truth is, when you've built your life around someone else's version of reality, it takes a minute to find your footing again. You don't just wake up and walk away with perfect posture. You limp at first, especially when he's good at pretending nothing happened. By 4 p.m., he was watching football on the couch, asking if I wanted Thai or burgers. By 6 p.m., he was rubbing my shoulders like it was date night. By 8 p.m., he asked, "Are we good now?" I looked at him. That stupid face I used to trust. That crooked smile that got him out of parking tickets and into my heart. And I heard myself say, "Sure." I texted my sister later that night. Me. I found the proof. Her. I'm coming over. Me. Not yet. Her. Why? Me. I need to play this smart. Her. He's not a boss battle. You don't need a strategy. Me. I do if I want to walk away with my dignity, and my half of the deposit. She sent a skull emoji. Then, "Don't let him gaslight you again. Seriously." I promised I wouldn't. But deep down, I knew I already had. Daniel and I shared everything financially. 1 joint account for wedding expenses. 1 shared credit card. We split rent, but he had his name on the lease. I knew if I left suddenly, I'd lose everything I put into this place. The couch, the bed, the $3,000 I loaned him for emergency dental work that I still hadn't seen a bill for. So I waited. Started quietly pulling things apart behind the scenes. First thing I did was lock down my finances. I moved my savings into a separate bank, changed the password on my Venmo, opened a P.O. box. Daniel didn't notice. Or if he did, he assumed I was just being moody again. Then I started taking screenshots. Photos of receipts, emails, text threads. Anything that proved what I'd contributed, money, time, plans. I labeled the folder, just in case, 2, because I already had a just in case. 1, from the last time he lied to me. That one had screenshots of him texting another girl from our gym. He said it was just a meme. I said, then why did you delete it? He said, because I knew you'd twist it. And I did twist it. Into knots. Inside my own stomach. Around this time, I noticed something else. Talia was back on Instagram. She'd been quiet for months. Hadn't posted since giving birth. Her new account had 9 pictures. All aesthetic. All filtered. Baby toes. Latte art. Gold rings on slender fingers holding a sun hat on a beach. In one of the posts, she tagged a location. The Alcove Cafe and Bakery. That was my spot. Daniel had taken me there on our 2nd anniversary. He'd ordered the breakfast burrito. I'd cried because they spelled my name wrong on the receipt. He kissed my hand and said, "You could be named Blorptina, and I'd still marry you." And now she was posting from there. I clicked through her tagged photos. That's when I saw it. Her friend, some yoga influencer named Jenny, had posted a carousel. Brunch with my mama crew. Swipe 1. Mimosa Towers. Swipe 2. Babies in carriers. Swipe 3. Talia, smiling, wearing a dusty rose cardigan, and Daniel. Back corner of the photo. Clear as daylight. Laughing. Wearing that Patagonia jacket. I didn't confront him. Not right away. Instead, I made a new folder. Just in case, 3. I went on pretending everything was fine. Planned our wedding like a woman hypnotized. Booked the florist. Finalized the seating chart. Tried on my dress again in the mirror, feeling like I was impersonating someone else's future. Daniel was thrilled. Said I looked gorgeous and glowing. He didn't notice my ring had been replaced with a dupe from Amazon. The real one was already pawned. Cash in an envelope taped under my car's dashboard. My exit fund. I told myself, make it to the bachelorette weekend. Then go. It was the only trip I could take without raising suspicion. But then he beat me to it. 2 weeks before the trip, Daniel came home drunk again. It was 2:46 a.m. I remember the exact time because I'd just taken melatonin and was half asleep when he stumbled in, reeking of tequila and regret. I pretended to sleep, but he started talking, muttering. Always testing me. You don't even see me. Evelyn was ours first. I opened my eyes. What did you say? He froze. I sat up. What did you just say, Daniel? He blinked, swayed slightly, then slurred. You think you're better than her, don't you? I got out of bed, grabbed my phone, opened the voice memo app, hit record. He kept rambling, admitting things, half-drunk confessions, words like timeline overlapped and closure and I didn't think you'd find out. I let him talk until he passed out. Saved the file. Named it, Drowning Man, Wave. The next morning, he had no memory. Asked why I looked so pale. I told him it was cramps. He offered to get me a heating pad. I almost laughed. Instead, I smiled and said, thanks, babe. That afternoon, I put in PTO for the following Friday. Not for the bachelorette, for my escape. I booked a storage unit, reserved a moving truck under my sister's name, called a locksmith, texted my old landlord to see if the unit in Silver Lake I once rented was still available. It was. I signed the lease digitally. By that night, I had a new address. I wish I could say I left with dignity, with power, with grace. But I didn't, because Daniel found out. And it wasn't from me. 3 days before I planned to leave, I made one small mistake. I left my iPad open on the kitchen counter, with my email app still running. Daniel walked in while I was in the shower, saw the confirmation from U-Haul, opened the email, read the subject line. Your moving day is set. Here's what to expect on Friday. When I came out, he was standing there, arms crossed, face unreadable. Going somewhere? My heart sank. The iPad was still glowing on the counter behind him. I said nothing. He stepped closer. After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me? I blinked. After everything you've hidden from me, this is how you react? His jaw clenched. I didn't cheat on you. I raised my phone, pressed play on the voice memo. His voice spilled from the speaker. Slurred, raw, confessional. Evelyn was ours first. He lunged for it. I stepped back. Try it, I said, and I'll forward this to your boss, your mom, your ex. He froze. Not because he was scared of me, but because, Finally, he knew I wasn't bluffing anymore. That Friday, I moved out. He didn't help. He just watched from the balcony, arms folded, eyes glassy, mouth set in a line like he was the one being betrayed. My sister loaded the last box into her SUV. I turned once, looked at the place we called home. The dusty rose, wall. The whiteboard still faintly showing Evelyn in dry erased ghost letters. I didn't cry. Not until I was in the car. That night, I posted something vague to Instagram. Sometimes you find out the person you love gave someone else your future, and you take it back. The comments flooded in. He didn't respond, but I noticed Talia unfollowed me 2 hours later, and then blocked me. The first thing I did in my new apartment was sit on the floor and open every window. Let the breeze in. Let the ghosts out. The place was tiny, barely 500 square feet. Exposed pipes, one flickering kitchen light, a front door that creaked when I breathed too hard. But it was mine. Mine in a way nothing had been for a long, long time. No shared bank account. No shadow ex-girlfriends. No lies buried in social media posts. Just me, a mattress on the floor, and a roll of toilet paper I used as tissues when I couldn't stop crying. People always talk about post-breakup clarity like it's some kind of sunrise moment. You leave the guy, get a haircut, start Pilates, and boom, you're healed. That's not how it was for me. I didn't wake up relieved. I woke up raw. The kind of raw where brushing your teeth feels too loud, where every memory replays like a glitchy voicemail you can't delete, where the worst part isn't that he lied, it's that you let him. For years. My sister tried to keep me busy. She made me a color-coded Google sheet of emotional survival tasks, like it was a grief syllabus. Week 1. Cleanse the apartment. Week 2. Reconnect with old friends. Week 3. Reclaim something he stole from you. Week 4. Do something for future you. I laughed when I first saw it, but it helped. So I followed it. Sort of. Week 1. I donated half my clothes. Anything he ever complimented. Anything I wore on date nights. I tossed the champagne dress from our anniversary dinner into a Goodwill bag and didn't look back. Then I lit candles in every corner of the room, even the bathroom. My therapist, yes, I finally got one, called it ritualized autonomy. I called it finally breathing again. Week 2. Reconnecting with old friends was trickier, because I'd pushed them all away, not on purpose, but in the slow, insidious way women do when their partner doesn't like how much she vents to other people. There were texts I never answered, calls I let go to voicemail, DMs that sat unread while I sat on the couch next to Daniel, pretending I was just tired. But I reached out anyway. The responses shocked me. I was wondering if you were okay. You don't have to explain. I get it. We've missed you. We went out that Friday, 3 of my college girlfriends and I. We ended up at a wine bar in Silver Lake with mismatched chairs and twinkle lights and overpriced charcuterie. One of them, Zoe, brought her new girlfriend, a tattooed chef who made homemade pickles and didn't ask a single invasive question about my ex. It was the first night in months I didn't check my phone once. And when I got home, I realized I hadn't thought about Evelyn the whole time. Week 3. Reclaim something he stole from me. That one was obvious. The baby name. Not the literal Evelyn. Not anymore. That name was tainted. But the idea of choosing a name, of dreaming again, of owning my own future, I could take that back. So I sat in bed one night, opened a fresh notes doc, and started a list. June Delilah Sloan, Iris Winter Marin Ezra Holland Rue. I had no idea if I even wanted kids anymore, but the act of imagining it again felt like power. Of course, healing isn't linear. Because just when I thought I was finally stabilizing, Talia posted something. I wasn't even following her, she was still blocked. But a friend from nursing school sent me a screenshot with a message. Is this shade? It was a story slide. Soft pink background. Classy serif font. Some people borrow dreams, others live them. No tags, no names. But the next slide was a photo of her baby, Evelyn, holding a daisy rattle I had bought for a baby shower years ago, long before I knew it would end up in her hands. My stomach turned. It wasn't just petty, it was intentional. And worse, she knew. I didn't reply, didn't message, didn't even rage text Daniel. I just stared at the screen and felt this weird, low heat inside me. Not anger, not grief, resolve. Because I realized something. They deserved each other. Talia, who wanted a man that could lie so easily. Daniel, who recycled futures like worn-out t-shirts. And both of them, who couldn't come up with a name that wasn't built from my dreams. Week 4. Do something for future me. I didn't know what that meant at first. Therapy? Sure. Meal prepping? Meh. But one night, I found myself scrolling through job postings. And there it was. A pediatric clinic in Echo Park was looking for a nurse. 3 days a week. Decent pay. Close to my new place. Focused on family care. I hesitated. Because the last thing I wanted was to be around babies. Or moms. Or families glowing with the kind of love I never had. But then, I remembered something my therapist had said in session. The only way to stop carrying the wound is to stop protecting it. So I applied, got the interview, and somehow got the job. My first week at the clinic was surreal. I held babies with names like Isla, Madeline, and Zoe. I watched toddlers cry about band-aids and moms cry about being good enough. I listened to dads try to decode diaper rash over the phone. I handed out stickers, adjusted thermometers, and wrote prescriptions for sleep and hydration and grace. And for the first time in a long time, I felt useful. Not to someone, just as myself. That was when he messaged. Daniel. Out of nowhere. 4:17 p.m. on a Wednesday. A simple, pathetic, "You home?" I stared at it for 5 minutes. Then came the follow-up. "I left something at the old place. Can I come by?" I knew exactly what it was. The jacket. The stupid Patagonia relic he always left in the closet. A souvenir of his 2 lives. A reminder of how easily he wore both women like layers. I typed, tossed it, then turned off my phone. A few hours later, I got a DM on Facebook. From someone unexpected. Talia. I hadn't heard from her directly ever. Even when things were unraveling. Even when I knew she knew. But now? Now she was in my inbox with a 5-paragraph message that made me feel like I was watching a Lifetime movie. "I think we've both been played, and I need to talk to someone who gets it." I didn't open the message right away. It sat there in my inbox for 3 hours. Just a bolded name, Talia Rivera, and a tiny preview. "I think we've both been played." My heart thudded like it had that day in the grocery store. That soft baby voice saying Evelyn like she had earned it. Like it had always been her name. I was home alone, halfway through a lean cuisine and watching reruns of Top Chef, the volume too loud just to drown out my own thoughts. When I finally opened the message, my hands shook. Talia Rivera. Facebook message. October 3rd, 9:41 p.m. Hey, I know this is weird and you can totally block me if you want to, but I've been sitting with this for months and I'm tired of pretending. I think we've both been played. I don't know what Daniel told you about me, but I need you to know I didn't take the name. I didn't steal it. He told me he made it up. That it just came to him one night after we started reconnecting. And yeah, we were talking while he was with you, for longer than I'm proud of. He said things weren't working. That you were distant. That you didn't want kids. That you still texted your ex. And like an idiot, I believed him. I swear I didn't know you two had talked about Evelyn. Not until I saw that whiteboard photo someone tagged in your engagement album. By then, it was already on her birth certificate. I'm not looking for forgiveness. I just thought you deserved truth. I'm sorry. Really. Talia. I read it twice. 3 times. I zoomed in on parts like I was decoding an encrypted file. He told me he made it up. He said you didn't want kids. By then, it was already on her birth certificate. Every line scraped me raw. But what struck me wasn't the betrayal. It was how identical her story sounded to mine. Same lies, same timing, same soft manipulation. It wasn't just that he cheated. It was that he copy-pasted our entire relationship into another woman's life. Down to the name. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I went for a walk. It was almost midnight. The air in Silver Lake was cool, the kind of fall breeze that carried wood smoke and faint weed and someone's leftover taco truck order. I walked past yoga studios and indie bookstores and empty bus stops, past couples arguing softly and dogs sniffing bushes. Everything felt hyper-real. Like I was finally seeing the game board, and we were both just pawns in his little fantasy league. When I got home, I typed back 3 lines. I believe you. He did the same to me. I hope you get free of him too. That was it. No anger, no snark, no screenshot threats. I just didn't have room for more poison. And I really, truly hoped she got out. 3 days later, she posted a photo of her and Evelyn on a playground bench. No Daniel in sight. The caption read, "New beginnings. Just us." And I knew. She'd left. Something shifted after that, like a knot in my chest finally loosened. It wasn't forgiveness. I wasn't some evolved saint. But there was something about seeing her say the words I was lied to that made me feel less crazy. Less alone. Around the same time, something else happened. I started talking to someone. No, not like that. Not romantically. His name was Miles. He was a pediatric resident at the clinic where I'd just started. Tall, sweet, socially awkward in a way that made kids love him instantly. He wore the same 3 pairs of scrubs on rotation and always had pens in his hair by accident. We first met when I spilled coffee on the nurse's log. He ran over with paper towels and said, "Don't worry, this floor's been through worse. I once vomited here during a night shift." I laughed so hard I choked on my protein bar. After that, we kept talking. About books, music, awful ER stories. Not dating. Just talking. He never asked for my number, never commented on my body, never flirted with a smirk. He just listened. And after Daniel, that felt revolutionary. One Friday afternoon, I stayed late at the clinic to finish up some charts. Miles poked his head into the break room and offered to walk me to my car. We made small talk. He told me about his niece's obsession with sloths. I told him about my sister's color-coded grief schedule. As we reached my car, he hesitated, then said, "You know, you're the calmest chaos I've ever met." I laughed. "Is that a compliment?" He shrugged. "I mean it in the best way." Then he handed me a paper bag. Inside was a sticker. It said, "You are not disposable." I didn't cry until I got home. Daniel messaged again 2 weeks later. This time, he was angry. "So now you're talking to her? After everything she did?" I didn't respond. He tried again. "She's lying. You know that, right? She always had a thing for drama." I still didn't respond. He sent 8 more messages. Each one more frantic. Accusatory. Desperate. The last one simply said, "I miss you. I made a mistake." That one, I forwarded to my sister. She replied, "Block him. It's not your job to make his loneliness comfortable." So I did. Blocked his number, blocked his socials, blocked the email he used for our wedding planning account. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt clean. A month passed, then another. I kept working, kept healing. Miles and I became closer. Still just friends, but real ones. The kind that remember your coffee order and don't try to fix you when you're sad. One night, we went to a trivia night at a bar in Atwater Village. Our team name was Code Pink and the Chart Gremlins. We didn't win. But I laughed so hard I forgot I'd once planned to marry a man who wore another woman's love story like a second skin. I got a postcard in the mail sometime after New Year's. No return address. Just a photo of a baby in a yellow bonnet, smiling in a sunbeam. On the back it said, "Her name is Amelia now. Thank you for the truth." I kept it. Pinned it to the fridge with a magnet that said, "Healing is not linear." There's a moment, after the storm, where silence feels suspicious. Like you're waiting for the next clap of thunder, the next betrayal, the next voicemail at 3:14 a.m. that says, "I didn't mean it like that." But sometimes, the storm really is over, and what's left is just wet pavement, broken branches, and the quiet thrill of surviving. 3 months after the postcard, I found myself humming in the shower again. That might sound small, but to me, it was huge. Because I hadn't realized how long I'd gone without making noise just for me. Not for him. Not to soothe tension. Not to fill silence. Just humming. No performance. No fear. Miles noticed the change first. We were doing inventory in the clinic supply closet, buried under boxes of tongue depressors and band-aids, when he looked at me and said, "You smile with your eyes now." I blinked. What does that even mean? He grinned. "It means you're back, or at least on your way." We started seeing each other outside work. Still nothing romantic, just layered comfort. Breakfast burritos on Sunday mornings, farmers markets, shared playlists with dumb names like Soft Boiled Chaos, and scrubs and sad girl rock. One night I told him everything. The name, the lies, the whiteboard, the iPad, the baby. He didn't interrupt once. When I finished, he said, "He didn't deserve you, but you deserve to know who he really was. And now you do." I didn't fall in love with Miles right away. I don't even know if that's what this is, but I do know what it's not. It's not walking on eggshells. It's not red flags dressed as sarcasm. It's not someone who gets quiet every time you ask a hard question. It's peace. Which, after Daniel, feels radical. I still think about Evelyn sometimes. Not Talia's daughter. The idea of her. The girl I thought I'd name. The future I thought I'd live. She felt so real in my head. Like I could already see her curls, hear her laugh, pick out her backpack. But that's the thing about imagined futures. They don't die. They transform. They become books written, trips taken, friends rediscovered, parts of you forgot you missed. So now, instead of mourning her, I channel her. That soft, hopeful part of me. That unafraid part of me. She's not gone. She just grew up into me. A few weeks ago, my sister and I went back to the old neighborhood. We passed by the Thai rooftop where Daniel proposed, the bakery where he lied, the CVS where I once cried behind a sunglasses rack because I'd seen his ex's name on a receipt in his car. None of it hurt anymore. It was just landmarks, places I passed through to become who I am now. My sister asked, "If you saw him again, what would you say?" I thought for a second, then said, "Nothing. I just hope he sees me walking away." Daniel did try one last time. A mutual friend told me he'd been asking around, that he was going through it and had realized a lot, that he finally got therapy. Maybe that's true. Maybe he did change. But here's the thing no one tells you about closure. It doesn't come from the person who broke you. It comes from who you become after they do. I'm still in the same apartment. Same exposed pipes. Same creaky door. But now there's art on the walls. Plants that haven't died. A bookshelf filled with baby names I might use someday. And maybe not. A new whiteboard on the fridge. This one doesn't say Evelyn. It says, "You do not need someone to believe in you in order to be real." Miles came over last week with homemade empanadas and a scratch-off lottery ticket. We didn't win anything. But when we sat on the floor eating, he looked at me and said, "You're not afraid of being known anymore." He was right. For the first time in my life, I'm not trying to shrink to fit someone's expectations. I'm not twisting myself into a version of good enough. I'm just here, living, breathing, thriving. I keep the postcard from Talia on my fridge as a reminder. Not of what he took from me, but of what we both reclaimed. Our agency, our voices, our daughters' names. And sometimes, when I walk past the baby section at Target or hear a mom call to her toddler at the park, I still flinch at the sound of Evelyn. But now I don't hear her as mine. I hear her as proof that I had something real, that I dreamed something beautiful, that he saw it, wanted it, stole it, but couldn't keep it. Because you can't build a future out of someone else's dreams and call it love. So here I am. No ring, no wedding, no Evelyn. But I've got truth, I've got peace, and I've got myself. Which finally feels like enough. He gave her our baby name, and thought I'd never find out. But now I wonder, was it just a name, or was it his way of erasing me from both our stories? Would you have confronted her sooner, or walked away like I did?